A new railway. Smudger was resting in the sheds one day on the new mid-Sodor, which had opened up 5 years ago, but just hadn't had anyone run on it yet. Just hadn't had anyone run on it as much. Then he saw someone, but then he saw two engines. He saw Coley hunting Proteus into the sheds next to him, and puffed away. It's all Lars' fault. If he hadn't run into me in the yards, I wouldn't be here. You know, Proteus, Lars' attitude does remind me of an engine that used to work here. His name was Jacob. Jacob was an American tank engine. He had 6 black wheels, and he was painted red. The back of his cab was open, but we didn't mind. We thought he was going to be useful. We thought. Jacob did his job well, and managed to get it done in time. But we called him a rough rider. Rough rider? Why'd you call him a rough rider? He would always ride rough on the rails and go fast, usually derailing. Not very well, actually. No matter where he was or what he did, he always managed to jump the rails. That's why we called him a rough rider. What me and Mike didn't like about him the most was his behavior. He always had an aggressive attitude, no matter where he was or what he did. He had derailed once again, and I was called out to help him. But this is what he said to me one day. Listen, hey, Smudge. Who cares about a few spills? Back in the States, they didn't care a dime. We do here. But all he did was laugh. But then, one day, something really bad happened. What happened? Well, this is what happened. The manager was fed up with his attitude. If you cause one more accident, he said, you will have severe punishments. Jacob wasn't really listening, but he knew if he messed up one last time, something bad would happen to him. We didn't know it yet, but it was too late. But it was too late for him by the time he figured it out. One day, Jacob had to take some empty trucks to the yards, but he didn't know the danger up ahead. The line to the loading gauge had been blocked off due to twisted rails. I was just resting in the sheds when the manager ran up to me. Smudger, Jacob, Smudger, I need you to go to the loading gauge and bring the breakdown train, he said to me. I wondered why he said that, but when I got there, I realized why. I had arrived to see that Jacob had gone right through the sign and off the rails. I noticed that the rails had been torn. The rails had been torn for some reason, and I assumed that Jacob was being careless, like usual. When we rescued him, his brakes were shattered, and his undercarriage was split in two. His buffer beam was also damaged. But manager had other ideas for him. If you can't be useful, said the manager, we'll have to find another way. I'll have to find another way to make you useful. He stopped laughing then. Why? What happened? He was turned into a generator. He's in the back of our sheds. He's in the back of the sheds right now. He'll never move again. Yes, and if Lars keeps up his attitude, he might as well end up like Jacob. Did you already tell him the story? Yes, I've told him the story. I've told him the story 5 times. He still hasn't listened. Well, can't stay. Gotta go. I just hope I don't end up like him. You know it wasn't my fault. What? You know it isn't. You know that accident wasn't my fault, Smudger. Why won't you tell them the truth? Some things are best left untold. It wasn't me.